I am extremely excited today because I'm in Montenegro, in Ulcin. It's my wife's father's place in Ulcin, in Montenegro. And Huw Thomas is sitting in the chair, and I'm going to interview him about his wonderful career as a comedian, actor, musician, and all that stuff. Huw Thomas, in the garden. I usually say in the house, but he's in the garden. And we've just finished, we had all the boys out, didn't we? We had Mark Billingham. Who else did we have out? Mark Mayer.
Otis Cannelloni. John and Mike Gunn.
They all came out.
Huw Thomas. He was here.
That man here, there. We were playing poker for 3 days.
For hour upon hour upon hour.
It was a bit too much, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. And I think I've interviewed all of those boys on my channel, and Huw, you are the last one of the poker buddies.
Yes.
Yeah, which is good. Do you like poker?
I love it. I'm afraid I am addicted to the way the cards fall.
In what sense?
Well, I love the chanciness of it and the manipulation of that chance. I'm terrible at it, I have to say, because I get overexcited, and then I lose a lot of money.
You like to be in every hand.
Yes. You
like the action.
I get very quickly bored if everybody else is playing.
But we end up playing for hours. I mean hours, don't we?
It was. I think the longest was 6 or 7 hours at a stretch there.
Yeah.
And then we had lunch, and then we went back.
I know. We had to swim though. Strangely enough, I don't tan very easily, and I have come to find out that I found one person who is whiter than I am. He glows. I've never seen. I mean, my family would always take the mickey out of me coming to Montenegro because everybody tans quite well, and I'm very careful of the sun. Obviously, be careful of the sun, children. But Huw Thomas
is whiter than white.
Whiter than white.
Whiter than white. And I noticed you deliberately standing next to me in order to show up your tan, which was minuscule, whereas mine is non-existent.
You might have noticed that Huw Thomas is not actually wearing a t-shirt. That is his
this is
colour.
this is the colour of the tie.
So Huw Thomas, when did you start comedy?
I suppose the first time I started comedy was in folk clubs.
Like Billy Connolly?
Yes, I mean, I used to go around all the folk clubs playing. I was terrible, I was musically terrible. I had nothing very interesting to say. And at one point I discovered that it was better to be funny than to be musical, since I wasn't very musical. Well, I know it's not true, I am musical, but I hadn't found out what... I was playing calypsos, which is not my tradition.
Huw Thomas is very musical. And you have got a good ear for music. But maybe at the beginning you might not be.
No, I didn't work at it, you see. I didn't work at it, and other people were working at it and working out how to do it better. I was a bit slapdash. I have been slapdash in almost everything I've done in my life. Slapdash Huw, they call me.
Do they?
Yes.
That was your first. So when did you actually do the scene?
What happened was my brothers came back from filming. They were working on Pinewood Studios, and they had picked up a guy who spoke about a motorcycle, and he came up with this language, and they repeated it to me, and I thought, that's brilliant. And I then went and made a sort of poem monologue about it, and I tried it out at the Londonderry Arms in Sunderland, and they nearly hung me from the rafters. I was rescued by the Northern Front, a brilliant folk group, Mick Elliott.
But because?
Because it's got lots of rude words in it.
Right.
And it didn't work, and I didn't do it for a couple of years after that. And then I started doing it in the folk clubs down in London, and they all loved it. And so I found that I had a kind of routine. It was only the one routine. And when the Comedy Store came along, which was many years later for me, because I started playing in folk clubs in about 1964.
Wow.
And then the Comedy Store, I think, opened in 79 or 80, and I went along after about 6 months. I went along to listen to them, and then I thought, I'll go and try that. So I went in and tried this one routine I had about 2 o'clock at night in Maid Street, up those stairs, and in the strip club.
Oh, that was the first. That was the first comedy.
Yeah, first comedy.
Don Walls talked about that.
Yeah. And it went down a bomb. I thought, wow, I'm a comedian.
So if you're liking this video of Huw Thomas, then please like and subscribe. It helps with the algorithms, I think. I don't even know what the algorithms are, but apparently they do help with the algorithms. Like and subscribe.
I don't even know who I am, let alone what an algorithm is.
He's got a point. So that routine you were just describing, I remember you telling me that, is that something a motor, Alexei Sayle?
Yes, it was. What happened was Alexei heard me do it and met me in the bar afterwards, very late at night, and said he'd always wanted to do a motorbike routine. Could he have that one? And he'd buy it from me. And I said, yeah, sure. And I met him in a pub in Shepherd's Bush with a friend of mine, and I'd written it out. Actually, it's much more an improvisational thing than it is a written. I wrote it out, not very well, and he took it away. And then he did his own thing with it and recorded it, and he's brilliant. It was a routine he did very well indeed.
Was it got a new motor? What was it?
No, it's not a new motor. That's a different routine.
Oh, that's a different routine.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
No, this one is my mate's laughing, I'm laughing, fucking funny. Drop a cog, give it a handful, come round a roundabout, going like a good. Me and my mate Charlie. Charlie's bird, little and his fucking geezer on a Ferrari barney. My mate's laughing, I'm laughing, fucking funny. Drop a cog, give it a handful, come round a roundabout, going like little, still trying to get on the back of Arthur's bike, does it all wrong, stands up as he goes under a low bridge, takes her fucking head off. My mate's laughing, I'm laughing, fucking Lil's head. It's all that. It's
That's brilliant.
It's very, very rhythmic, and it's very sick.
I can't believe you remember all that.
I mean,
you're just going to improvise.
Most of it you improvise, but it's got the refrain, my mate's laughing, I'm laughing, fucking funny, drop a call, give you a handful. That's what people pick up on.
Yeah. What is your best gig to date?
My best gig, but that was probably the best one I ever did, because I stormed I did really well. That routine went really well at the Comedy Store.
You do another routine, which is your recorders through the nose.
Oh yeah, yes.
Yeah.
I learnt to do this. I learnt to play I went to the Central School of Speech and Drum, where I did a teacher's course in drum. Lovely course with lovely people. And they made us dance the brawl and the pavan and the quadrille and all these dances. And in order to get out of dancing them, I thought I learned to play.
Just that noise is not Huw's stomach, it's a motorbike.
No, it's a motorbike.
And on a bit of a main road.
It's my mate laughing, I'm laughing.
Yeah.
Actually, that was a little Honda 50 or something.
Do you reckon? Yeah, with one of those noise things.
Yes. But so I learned to play the brawl in order just for fun. And then I thought it'd be fun to try and play it with two recorders at once. And that was fun, and it sounded quite good, particularly if it's got a little bit of reverb on it. So then I thought it'd be funny if I tried to play three recorders at once. And if I put one like Petermain, I stuck it up my arse.
Well, Petermain was for
he
the
farted.
people. He farted at will. A bit like Mr. Methane in this day and age.
Yes,
you can fart at will.
Yes, fart at will, and fart tunefully.
I don't think Mr. Methane.
Remarkable.
Petermain could do that. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
you could. Oh, the Marseillaise. He's famous for it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
But it's a very funny routine. I mean, you know.
Yes, because I've built a whole setup to it. And the reason it works is because it musically sounds quite nice.
Yes.
Particularly if you've got, it doesn't sound nice at all if there's no reverb. It needs to sound like you're playing in a church, really. Then musically you can play with it.
Yes.
Because I'm singing one note and playing two, and you've only got this number of fingers.
Yeah.
And you can pinch the notes underneath, so you can get higher notes and lower notes. But if my breath control hangs out, which it no longer does, I can actually make it sound quite good. And then at the end, you take the thing out of your trousers and give it a lick. And
But talking about the King's Head,
yeah,
you were did you start the King's Head with Pete Graham, or?
No, I started it about a year before Peter got involved, and I ran it appallingly. But I had this idea of, that it'd be a nice idea to do, and I used a lot of my ex-students. People like Logan Murray and came and did it, and Pierre Hollins. And
from Middlesex University?
Yes, from Middlesex University. And I ran it every Sunday night, comedy thing, and it started to kind of get a little bit successful. But then I realised I was hopeless at running it, and I didn't have the patience. Actually, I also didn't have the time, because I was full-time lecturer at the time. So Peter was running something up at the Jackson's Lane, and I said, would you come and help me run theirs? And he was an ex-student of mine. He said yes, and of course he ran it well. And before long, we had queues down the road. I mean, became very successful for a bit.
It's the longest running.
Been going a long time. I think 1980. I think I started it in that amateur way in 1981.
Is that on par with the Comedy Store starting?
No, it was after that.
After.
It was about a year afterwards, a year and a half
so it's
afterwards.
Pretty one of the first.
Because that process that I talked about, the Comedy Store, I went back 2 weeks later with my girlfriend and my brother and died the most horrendous death you've ever seen.
With the same material?
No.
Oh.
With I tried something completely different. I thought, I can't go back to the same, so I'll try something new. I was arrogant and stupid and knew nothing about comedy. And so I went in there with I can't even remember what it was. Whatever it was, it went from me completely within seconds. And I started blathering nonsense. And people were banging their heads on the table asking me to leave the stage, but I couldn't move. And I just became an arse. I didn't have legs, I didn't have arms, I shrunk. As a human being, I shrunk down to an arse. And I thought about it later, and I thought, why did I do, what happened there, that I suddenly became an arse that couldn't move? And I realized it was because I had been caned on stage in front of a school when I was
wow, that's interesting.
16.
Yeah.
And that physical humiliation came back to me in an incredible way. I couldn't move.
Would you describe that as your worst gig?
Oh, without a doubt.
Oh, that is your worst gig.
Oh, without a doubt.
So you preempted my question.
It was horrendous.
Yeah.
It was horrendous.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was really humiliating. It took me a week before I started to get legs and arms and feet back together. You know, they sprouted gently, like my ego had been totally crushed. And it was a terrific lesson, if I'd thought about it, in what was wrong with doing all this, was ego gets in the way, you know, and you forget to not take yourself seriously.
Would that have been part of? Would that have stopped you doing it again, or did you get up back?
That's
on the
what
horse?
made me start the King's Head. That was the reason I started the King's Head. I thought, I've got to learn to do this.
Right.
I have to learn how to be funny on tap and not be humiliated and broken again. And I've had mostly great gigs at the King's Head, great fun.
Yeah.
And I was a compere, so it's easy, isn't it? You know, comparing is, if you do it with humility, it's fine. And if you're on the side of the audience, it's fine. And if you never put the acts down, I never did that. I would always celebrate. So I learnt, and I did routines for fun, and they were never serious, but I did think them through a bit.
I've known you quite a long time, but I think we really connected, worked together at your place of work.
Yeah, Middlesex University was a teacher's training college, then it became a polytechnic, which it should have remained, and then it became a university, which was ludicrous. I got you in to help the students because they needed somebody who was really on the circuit and working, and particularly somebody who had your physical clownic skills, which I thought some of them ought to see and learn and to use. After about 5 years of doing I was teaching drama, you see, pretty straight drama, and not very well, if I'm honest with myself. And I was supposed to teach speech, and I was bored with that. And I think a lot of the students would be cross about that because they would like to have learned to speak better, you know, to have more vocal resonance. But I found it very boring teaching it. But after about 5 years of doing the King's Head, I was always good at improvisation. That was something I did. I loved doing.
But that's because you've got a wealth of knowledge of theatre and plays and comedy.
Yes, a lot of that inside me. Yes, and having the family I had, because I had 3 elder brothers who were in themselves very fine performers in one way or another, interesting, and my father, who was an actor, really.
So did you start the comedy at Middlesex?
Yes, I did. After about 5 years of doing the King's Head, I thought, now I know something about this craft. I've seen it. I've seen a lot of people dying, a lot of people very successful, and I know what it is that makes it happen, and why it happens, and what that is. And I thought, I had a lot of comedians complain to me, why are you teaching this stuff? It's a natural process, you can't teach it. And I said, well, you can teach anything, and why shouldn't people, like they can learn the guitar or learn to be actors or learn the violin or whatever, why can't they learn the craft of talking and being funny at the same time? That doesn't mean to say they're going to go on big comedians, because that's only a few people can make, you know. So, but there's no harm in trying. And I also think it's enormously therapeutic, and I have seen that therapy at work. I mean, I must have taught over 1,000 students over the years, and I have seen the development of self-confidence and belief and articulacy through teaching stand-up. And you helped that, and Sam Beale, who teaches it.
Well, I was very, very late in the day. I remember you coming in. I loved it, but in the early stages when I came into it, was you'd go away on these, what they called,
long weekends.
Long weekends. I mean,
my farm in Wales.
Yes, your farm in Wales. Oh, I didn't go to that one. I went to one in.
The one in Devon.
Yes, in Devon, and it was unbelievably great fun to do, to kind of teach them how to
and all of
stage
those
presence,
great
jokes
exercises that we came up with.
Well, yes, I mean, so that, and who have you had through you've had some famous people through the doors at Middlesex.
Well, yes, I mean Alan Carr and the lovely Joanne Wright and Angelina McAvoy, and Pierre Hollins was before. I never taught him stand-up. I taught him drama. I didn't ever taught him stand-up.
So,
and Logan also was.
But Logan went on to do his teaching.
He went on to do his own teaching.
But Alan Carr was the big one.
Alan Carr is famous, isn't he? Yes, and he's a very fine comedian. Yeah. People forget that because his TV persona takes over, and some people love it and some people hate it. You know, I saw him as a stand-up, and I've seen him doing stand-up, and he's brilliant. And he was before he started, before he did anything with me.
But I noticed that when I was helping there, was that you could just see the people who had that something, that funny bone. That again, you were saying that it's quite hard. Why not teach people? It's like people saying about photography. You can teach people the mechanics, and I think you can teach people the mechanics of stand-up.
Yes.
But it's the innate timing, even in photography or in comedy, is something that it's very hard to define or teach, but you can only, that's why you can see in people straight away, think, oh, that person's got something.
You know, the most extreme version of that person reaching something that they hadn't reached before was a girl. I won't mention her name because it would be wrong of me to do so, but she was not having a good time in the classes at all, and I was so upset that she was having a horrible time. And you've seen that sometimes, you know, they get up and do their 5 minutes or 10 minutes that they've been working on that week, and it doesn't work, and they feel deflated and it's not happening. And she was having that, and she came to me after about 4 weeks and said, Huw, I think the classes are great, but I'm not having a good time. I think I'm going to leave them and go on this one. And I said, will you come and talk to me first before you do it? And I said, come and talk to me now. So we went and sat in my room, and I said, what might you find interesting to talk about? I said, what has happened to you in your life that's significant? And she said to me, well, both my parents died in a car crash when I was 14. I said, did they? My goodness me, that's tough. I said, how do you feel about this? She says, I'm angry, I'm furious. So I said, that's a fascinating reaction. Could you talk about that next week? She said, I'd love to. So I said, all right. I said, next week, bring that in and talk about it. And she came back next week. I hadn't said anything else. And she was hilarious. Her anger and her fury and her attack on her parents, and for dying on her, for having a car crash and dying together. And she went and did that routine in the final exam, which, you know, we do at the King's Head, and it was brilliant.
You were just mentioning Sam Beale, who was your partner in crime there, and she's brilliant, but the whole comedy thing is finished. at Middlesex. I mean, that's just a tragedy, isn't it, rather than comedy?
It's ludicrous. You know, they have Middlesex University, and I don't mind saying this, totally failed to recognise the exciting courses they had that could have gone on if they had only invested some time and thought in it, and they didn't. They had alumni who had done really well. They had going courses. They had a brilliant teacher in Sam. Arthur was also who came in with me and taught stand-up, and really made it into a much more he made it as it were suitable for a university, because he made it more academic, and that was very useful. But he also greatly encouraged the performance element of it. Shame. But they just destroyed it. They never didn't even use the alumni they had.
Can you imagine if they brought in
Alan or whatever, you know, any of them, they could have used them and made something of a name themselves, because we had the first course going in that.
Was it the first comedy course? Because
Yes.
Kent do it now, I think. With,
Kent do
Oliver
it now.
Double.
And somebody in Manchester said they were the first course, but that they were at least 5 years behind where I started. So, yeah.
So it's very, very windy, so I'm not sure if this is going to pick up, although I've got my muffler. Is it called a muffler? I think it's a muffler. Muffle. I'm down at Aloha Beach, Ulcin, Velika Plaja. But this is the kite surfing. It's very famous, this beach, for the kite surfers because of the wind. It's the river meets the sea, Ada Boyana. It's the most amazing coastline. It's basically 7-8 miles of sandy beach. And this is one of the miles of the sandy beach, and Huw Thomas is standing on this hallowed ground of Velika Plaja. What would you do if you weren't doing comedy? Have I asked that?
Well, you see, you've tracked me down here, Stephen, in the middle of my summer holidays. I always spend the summer in the Balkans, the winter in Switzerland, and that 1 month in August in England, when it's too hot in the Balkans. So you've tracked me down and you asked me the impertinent question, what should I do if I was not doing comedy? Well, the truth of the matter is I always wanted to be a rugby player.
That's true, isn't it?
Yes, a fullback. I wanted to be a fullback rugby player, but I wasn't fit enough, big enough, strong enough, or good enough. On the other hand, had I persevered and put my mind to it, I might have been a damn good little seven-a-side player. Is that good enough for you?
As you know, I love my watches, and today I'm wearing my beautiful BOLDR. It's a BOLDR watch. It's the Merlion, which celebrates the 50th anniversary of the statue in Singapore. It's a wonderful, wonderful watch, and Leon sent this to me. I love Leon. Not the food. You can get the food Leon, but this is actual Leon from Singapore, from BOLDR, who sent me this lovely watch, and I wear it often, and especially down the beach, because it's a dive watch. It goes very far down because I dive a lot, as most people who wear dive watches do, or do they? They don't really, but it's a lovely watch. Look at that watch. I'll put the specs down below. Thank you very much. BOLDR, BOLDR. I always ask the question about photography, because it is kind of about photography as well. So I always ask what one's favourite photograph is. So have you got a favourite photograph?
Kind of, yes, I do. I have a photograph, I have a number of favourite photographs, but one of the most fascinating ones for me is the photograph of my father and my 3 elder brothers sitting probably in Bourne End or somewhere like that on the Thames on one of our ubiquitous camping holidays, when it was probably 1944. And my brothers are aged, 12, 11 and 10 or 9 or something like that. But I was quite clearly a twinkle in my father's eye.
You could see that in the picture, could you?
Yes, you could see it in the picture, although it's taken with a Brownie, one of those Brownie box cameras, probably by my mother. And it's fascinating to me because I'm almost certain I can place the day when I was conceived, which was January the 1st, 1945. Just absolutely the first day of 1945, because I was born on September 5th, and that's 9 months later. And I can imagine that after the war there was a sudden sort of relaxation. It wasn't quite ended the war, but we were beginning to win, and I think my mother might have relented for the last time ever, and I was created at that moment, which is a very exciting moment for me, as you can imagine.
So I've just got to take a selfie. Here we go. Huw Thomas. Thanks for coming, Huw.
Thank you for having me, Stephen.
The love and the lies, the calm and the chaos. Adventure is waiting, dreams for the taking, it's all in view. The tension and ease, the wild and free.